Hey guys, so last week was damn hectic. So multiple things came up side by side, and I was not able to record. But okay, so this week there are two topics, and they are on different levels. I mean, one is on a technical side, one is on a very theoretical and something that I learned. I do not know how to put it to use, and I do not know how to put it into context and implement it, but something that I know I will be able to implement in future. So what's happened is last week I had my birthday, and whatever it is, I'm not a big fan of celebrating birthdays and all, but I went out and I was actually helping one of my friend shoot his film. So I was dealing with all the production work, and I like solving problems. So I mean, it was a fun thing for me, a fun side. I learned something new. But from the film industry, I was dealing with actors, and one of them told me something that it was really thought provoking. And in the security industry, we are like on the two extreme sides. So in the security industry, we consider users as idiots. I mean, I'll say it out loud, they are idiots. Okay. Now, in the film industry, I was having a conversation with this actor, and I was like, do we need to, show the film in a way that the audience understands? And the person said something which was, if you want your audience to really understand and you need to spoon feed them everything, in that case, you shouldn't make a film, because that leaves out the suspense part of it. Now, from a different point of view, one side we have one industry which says you do not need to spoon feed your audience with everything. The second industry which says you need to spoon feed your audience with everything. Now again, I have not been able to figure out a way how to put them together, because I know that those words mean a lot, especially if I could put it in a way or figure out how to implement it into the security industry. And I was actually thinking about it, and I had a few ideas. So we consider users to be idiots. Now when you talk to a person who you consider lower than yourself, you don't go ahead and you say things from a very high level perspective. It's like, say I'm talking to my grandmother, and I tell her, yeah, okay, do whatever, just put a long password, or I criticize her for her passwords. I'm putting her down. Whereas from the film industry, you don't really put the audience down, since they're technically your clients. I mean, in the film industry, which is also in a way from the security industry, but not that much. But again, so in the film industry, there's a way you convey it to the audience. And I noticed that we are lacking that in the security industry. The way we talk to our audience, the way we talk to our um how do I put it, so we talk to the end user. It has to be in a story format, it has to be in a something that catches attention, which is more on the marketing side and writing stories and all of that. But my point is, I at least for me, I noticed something which was at two radical sides with two opposing views, which one saying you should, the other saying you shouldn't. And that really got me thinking as to, oh wow, okay, this is something that we can explore. I mean, from another industry, why, if some industry is doing something well, let's get those skills, the knowledge, something similar what security professionals do. Specifically, we take a lot of tips and tricks from the nuclear power industry, I'd say, in terms of security. So the way a nuclear power plant works is has to be secure. There is no question of a mishap happening, and if happens, it's a big mishap. So the nuclear power industry or the nuclear industry has really secured, or not secured, but has gone through insane steps in order to make sure that a disaster does not happen. And if you go to see, a lot of the techniques that we as security professionals abide by and follow are actually from the nuclear industry, with respect to testing, with respect to patch management, with respect to a lot of things. And that's something I think we could also learn from the film industry. Again, I'm not a big part of it, and this was like a side project, like I just helped them for fun, but for me, I just learned something new. So yeah, that this is what I have learned from working a small 0.00001% in the film industry, which I think that's also a lot. But yeah, I learned a lot of things, and I met this actor, and this actor also told me, I mean, he explained me a lot of things with respect to conveying a message. And again, that's something that I feel we are lacking in the security industry, in how we communicate specifically with, like, security can be really technical. Okay, it's how we communicate it that you can explain a child. It's the same thing that you will, or a little bit more at a higher level, you need to explain an executive. And the same thing you need to explain a newcomer into security. Security can be really complex, but you need to make sure that the next generation or the people who are working below you know what they're doing, and you need to explain that to him. And that's something I feel we're really lacking, because so I have dealt, I mean, we don't have that much experience, but yeah, I have dealt with some people who are like out of the world crazy smart people, like they're genuinely damn smart, but they have a hard time communicating. Like, oh my god, don't get me started. Even the basics of things, they're pretty bad at it. And I'm trying to not go into that space where, I'm genius level smart, but I can't talk to anyone and have a conversation. And also, can't, like, it's like you have the greatest power in the world, but you cannot use it to help yourself. It's something like that. So there are these amazing security people, there are these amazing technical people, networking people, but they can't communicate. So they can't talk to clients that easily, they can't talk to the new people that easily, and they can't talk to executives that easily. And I'm not even talking from a, like, this is just from a professional point of view. Even in the personal lives, I don't know, I think it'll be pretty bad. But again, coming back to my point, it's all about communication. How do you put it across? So this is a few things that I learned from working with the film industry. Now coming to a situation that I faced specifically, I was in the situation, there was this project, or there is this project going on, wherein a lot of money is put into this project right now. Okay, and the thing was that it was not planned with security initially. It was planned with respect to getting the network up and running, getting the whole system up and running. So it's basically a place where the whole thing is automated. I think I have spoken about this in my last podcast, but okay, yeah. So the whole place is automated. It's like genius level. It's, think of Jarvis. That's what it is, except remove the AI part of it. It has Alexa instead, but whenever I go there, I just switch Alexa off. I can control everything else from my phone or laptop, whatever. But again, coming to my point, this place was built with the idea that everything had to be up and running and all the automation systems needed to work properly. It was not built with the idea of security. Now, a small change, I would say a maximum another 10,000 rupees more, would have added insane more layers of security into the system. Just 10,000. I mean, 10,000 may seem a lot to many people, but it's actually a minuscule amount compared to what this project is, put. The thing is that after you've implemented everything, after you, I'm not going to say implementing completely, after the fact that all the systems are up and running, the network was up and running, then the idea of security came to the picture, and it was like, oh, we did not think about that. And I mean, this place has some insane level automation, something that the company which has done this, the main company is one of the biggest partners of Microsoft. And they are crazy, they're big all around the world, especially in the automation industry. But yet their app. I'm not criticizing them. It's good. They have got it up and running, and automation wasn't like, it was a niche by itself. It's only right now that in the world that automation is coming to this level. So they made the app just to get it up and running. The app cost 15K, okay, for each license. But the communication between the app and the server, the automation server, is not encrypted. That means I can just do a packet capture, play it whenever I want, and do all the different packet captures, play it whenever I want, and I technically have 15K worth of stuff. Now, from a business point of view, now on paper I have 15K. How do I commercialize this? I got the commands that the app sends to the server, make my own app, commercialize on that. 15 instead of a person spending 15K, I'll say pay $500 per app or per license, and you're good to go. And I could commercialize on this. Now again, I'm mostly focused on security, but the reason I'm saying this is because when you talk to an executive, they want to know how much is it going to impact the business. Okay, that's the same thing. Now, I talk about executives and I talk about businesses, but technically this is also valid for people. If you take your own life in general, okay, you're going to buy a new PC. Now, consumers behave a little differently from businesses, but businesses know what they want. Consumers, majority of the time, they're like, okay, ठीक है, I'll put an extra graphics card in it or whatever. Now, currently, I'll tell you my situation. I personally consider my own personal life as a kind of a business. In the sense, this is what I need and this is what I need to achieve. Simple. So right now, I'm building my home lab server. In fact, there's so much going into it, and I have my specifications locked down. Like, this is this computer I need. This is not a computer. This is a CPU I need. This is the amount of RAM I need. I specifically need a particular kind of CPU, a particular kind of motherboard. And I kid you not, Intel has, I do not know how many processors out there. Okay, I had got it locked down by filtering each and everything to one processor, and one processor only that could get the job done out of all the hundreds or thousands of processors that Intel has in the market. The same thing with the motherboard. I think I had an option of four different motherboards, and when I locked down my specifications, this is the specific kind of motherboard I need. There were four different motherboards. Out of that, then I started seeing from a future point of view. What will I do from a future point of view with it? Okay, I might upgrade its RAM. I might upgrade its hard disk. CPU maybe not. That's it. I don't need a graphics card because technically in security you don't need graphics that much. I mean, unless you go into the AI part of it, and yeah, I mean, for my needs, I don't need graphics as of now. Later on, if I need it, I can put it on. But my point is, I had my specifications locked on there. This is my requirements. This is what I need. And when you start going into that, you can get really specific. And a small difference in cost of, it could cost a minute level of what. So I'll tell you what, the motherboard which I got, which out of those four motherboards, the cost difference, the cheapest one was 15,000, the most expensive one was 30,000. Okay. And when I locked it down from a future point of view, basically what would I need in the future? I had only two options, either the 30,000 one or the 15,000 one. That also, the 30,000 did not make much sense in terms of my future usability. So it made more sense for me to go with the 15,000. Now, unless and until I know this, and this is what I know, this is what I need, and this is the future value that it can provide me, it did not make sense to go for the 30,000 motherboard. And that is the same thing with security, and the same thing with anything from business to, when you're talking with, yeah, basically businesses. They're highly specific, and you need to see from a future point of view what is going to happen. Okay, now coming back to, I mean, I really deviated from the topic, but yeah, coming back to this network. These people had heavily invested in this particular network, and one change of it, like, it would cost a lot, or rewiring and all of that, whatever. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of it. So here's a solution that I proposed. Everyone had to be on the same network because VLANs were not possible to implement, because then the switches would need to be upgraded. So the switches were currently, or were on a unmanaged switch. Basically, everything it's a plug and play, something that would be used in a home network scenario. Okay, now you cannot implement VLANs. That means you cannot isolate the networks. So okay, now what can you do? You don't want the devices talking to each other, which is the whole solution of VLANs, virtual LANs. So that's wherein I suggested you implement ACLs, access control lists. So no IP can talk to each IP individually. It can only talk to the router. And secondly, no broadcast can be sent on the network. Now, when I say the statement, it's a huge statement. It's not like okay, you just don't allow broadcast. There are things which come with that, specifically DHCP. DHCP works on broadcast, at least the initial part or initial setup of DHCP. So let's go into how DHCP really works. When a device comes onto a network, it doesn't have an IP address, and this is something I put on Instagram as well. Okay, and a device does not have an IP address, so it asks the router for an IP address. My question is, how did it ask the router? From what IP address did it ask the router? And I put a quiz. Answer was it asked the router from its own IP address. It has a default IP address by itself. Okay, so for a second, even I forgot what a computer uses. So I just went and checked my notes. But a computer uses 0.0.0.0 in order to get an IP address from the router. But how does it know who's the router? Because technically, as much as people think that, say, on a 192.168 network, the router is always 192.168.0.1 or 1.1. It's not technically true. Your router could also be 192.168.1.245. It could be any IP. It's the IP that you assign to it. And this gets really complicated when you go to large networks. It's not compulsory that your router or all your routers. So on a large network, you actually have multiple routers. So it's not compulsory that your router will always have a .1 ending address or host bit. So what the DHCP I forgot query ask. It's I think called a query if I'm not wrong. So it queries on the network, or it I forgot the word. It's I think query, but yeah. So basically it puts a broadcast message on the network saying that okay, hey, I need an IP address, and the router replies or the DHCP server replies specifically, okay, this is an IP address you can take, and this works on a broadcast address. So it's not like okay, you say I will block the whole, I'll stop any host from putting a broadcast request. You need to also take this into consideration. So you had to basically I had to tell them okay, specifically say this that only this particular server can respond to a DHCP request. Uh, so that way, any new device that came on the network would still be able to, get an IP address, but it would not be able to talk to any other devices on the network by itself, or unless authorized to. Specifically, my phone or any other internal technical person's phones, we would only be the people who would be allowed to access the network again, and there was whatever radius and all of that was there in place. But yeah, so that's the thing. Now, this whole thing created zero new equipment cost and equipment or application cost specifically, because firewalls were already there, the router was already there, DHCP server was already there, all of this was already there. So this is something totally, I mean, it's something insane. I've never seen and I've never heard someone say that they were able to secure a network for zero cost at all involved. But yeah, I mean, this is like a new accomplishment for me, a funny accomplishment where I'm trying to get the cost down. But yeah, so it's more about finding innovative solutions wherein you you adapt to the situation. Security is not something you worked in one place. Okay, now you can apply it in another place. You have to be creative in what you do. Okay, so that's it for this week on these two topics. Now, this is a small topic, but I get requests saying on Instagram to, keep putting more content out there. The problem arises that, again, this is the dilemma kind of a situation. I study a lot, like a lot, on security, networking. So currently, as I said, I'm doing networking. The thing is that if I keep creating content, I won't have time to study. But the thing is that if I keep creating content and I don't study, my future content is going to be a problem. But at the same time, if I don't create content, it's like it's a chicken and egg scenario. No, so I'm trying to create this content, and what I'm planning to do is create courses. So anyone who's interested in taking this forward, really likes my free content, I'll have paid courses for them. Now, some people say, "Oh, you should keep it free. You should keep it paid and all." But understand from my point of view also, I I'm putting this content out. I like this. It's kind of fun, and it's kind of a marketing thing for me also. I'm going to be honest. This is a marketing platform for me. I see Instagram as a marketing platform to market myself and also meet new people in this industry. Now, I have put in time into this, and whatever years of experience and whatever I have learned, I'm sharing this content. I won't keep it at insane rate, and I'll have some places wherein if people really can't afford it, I'll give it out for free, specifically to few people. But yeah, there's cost involved even in creating content and all. Even for this podcast, there are certain costs involved which do add up on the long term, which I need to cover up. The server, the mics, and editing, all of that. So, so I need to value. I started valuing my time as to every minute or every hour that I put in something, it has to be a return. Same thing with studying. I'm putting time into studying, and that has to be a return for me. There's no need of studying something and then not ever reading it. And that's the same thing I'd encourage even for you. Put your time into it and study. And I'm not going to put something which is like everything that I have learned is there. You could go out on the internet, search it. I mean, I've done insane amount of research and all of that. Like, I've read papers, read research papers every day or every week. Not every day, I'd say every week or every month. I'm reading a good ton of research papers in security by itself. So it takes time, and you could do this. But if you feel that you don't want to do this, go ahead with the courses. I'll be putting it out. It'll take some time, and I think this is going to be 2022 resolution maybe. Yeah, but so I'm going to be putting out courses. If you think you like it, awesome. Go ahead. I'd suggest go ahead and buy it. It's money again for me. It's time and effort. I'd appreciate it. And if you think, okay, you can't afford it, hit me up. I'll figure something out with my team. We'll get you on. But if you can afford it, I'd really suggest go ahead and buy it. It really helps me in from creating more future content also. And this is just me being frank. At the end, it's marketing. You need money to survive. You need money to grow. You need money to do whatever you want. So, and I would even suggest the same for you. I'd say take on new courses specifically which are good, which you personally feel that are good. In fact, I'll go ahead and say this: if you don't need to take my course, go ahead and check out Sans materials are amazing. Okay, yeah, I mean, check out Sans. I'm kind of biased towards them because I know their content is damn good. There are people out there who are damn good. Like on YouTube, check out John Hamilton. I may have screwed up his name, but I'm sorry. But yeah, he also creates good content. David Bumble, he's pretty good. I'll not even say pretty. He's really good, but he focuses more. He's good on the networking side. I'm not saying he's bad in any other way, but I'd say his expertise are more on the networking side. So go check out his courses on that. There are few more people. I remember faces, but I don't remember their names, unfortunately. But I will be putting this out. I have seen their courses, so I'm taking. Even I, at the end of the day, what am I doing? I'm taking all this knowledge, combining it together, and making sense of it in my own respect and sharing that with you. The same thing what I'm doing on Instagram. I make sense of something and I share that. But if you feel you can do it yourself, I'd say go ahead and do it. The return on investment on that is insanely more. I'm saying don't buy my courses. Go ahead and check out these people's content. It's going to be a lot of content though. Okay, but check it out. You will learn way more. And anyone that says, oh, you take my course, including me, if I ever say, or anyone ever says that if you take my course, you'll be an expert, it's not going to happen. You need to be hands on. You need to, you need to do it. Courses and all just guide you. I mean, I'm not disvaluing courses. Courses are good. I have done a shit ton of courses, but you need to get hands on. You need to implement it. Only then will you actually learn something. So there's no secret sauce. In fact, I mean, this sounds illegal, but I'd say go ahead and torrent some of the courses also. You learn it. As long as you're learning it, good, because you at the end of the day are the person who's going to be supporting yourself in future. So yeah, go ahead, learn and actually implement things. Don't just learn tools for the sake of saying it, for the sake of learning it and saying you're a hacker. I mean, man, it's cringy. Seriously, it's damn cringy. Don't do it. So, okay, that's it for this week. Talk to you guys next week.